The jet-setting style of this season continues, from England to Germany and now Belgium. But unlike round 2, today's race returns to their usual sprint format. This will mean the drivers have far fewer laps considering the long length of this circuit. Will this make perfecting their speed even more difficult? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Spa is quite well known by most race fans, but for our casual viewer, we might need an introduction. Let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps. Less than an hour's drive east from the German border, this Belgian track has come to define racing for many different eras in the sport. It's no wonder it continues to entrance drivers when you look at the stats. The 7 kilometers over the course of a lap includes more than 330 feet in elevation change as it weaves its way through the Ardennes forest. Packed into this is 19 turns, some of which are considered among the most famous in the world of racing. Corners like La Source and Blanchement have been on the lips of drivers for decades. But by far the most notorious is Eau Rouge and Radillon. Typically referred to in name by just the first section, it dips low and swings left, then compresses and climbs to the right up a massive hill. The sequence ends with a completely blind crest that sweeps to the left and leads onto the incredibly long Kemmel Straight. The bravery required to be fast through there will pay off towards one of the most popular passing spots at Lacombe. Eau Rouge is exemplary of the rest of the circuit though. Most of the turns are incredibly fast and many include much of that signature elevation change. As jaw-dropping as the track is, you have to remember that this is the modern truncated layout. The old one, raced until 1979, was 14 kilometers in length, yet carried an average speed of 150 miles per hour. Present-day safety measures do cut down on the danger, but even in recent history, the circuit has proven deadly. It's clear why this track continues to be revered and respected by racers the world round. If you were to list some of the most famous racetracks in the world, I'm pretty certain that Spa would certainly be on many of them if people started to write them down, DJ. But what's it going to be like with these two classes out there?
Well, Joe, it is a long enough track and it is a wide enough track that I don't think we're going to have to worry too terribly much about lap traffic, although if you do manage to catch some, you don't want to be doing it in that sector 2, really anywhere from Lacombe all the way down through Paul Frere into those corners. That's going to be a little bit difficult, but as it always is the case here at Spa, it's all about the draft coming out of La Source and all the way up the Kemmel Straight. If you can get a good exit out of La Source, keep the power down well through Eau Rouge and Radillon, you should be able to get a wonderful draft coming into Lacombe. But outside of that, we have seen time and time again that forcing the issue in this series, that is to say drivers getting right up behind the rear of another car and trying to force an error, can be very, very successful. And with corners like Pouhon and that tricky second sector, I think that's another area you can see some overtakes today.
Certainly is a tough one, even with all the paved runoff they've added in the modern times here. But before we get to the racing itself, we want to remind you that this series is brought to you by Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. It's also sponsored by Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to OctavioTequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at CenturyRetire.com. So, with this race coming up, of course, we also have viewers who might not have watched before. So, DJ, what are the race details?
Well, this is the third of 24 rounds. That's right. This is a year-long series here for the Porsche Owners Club, and they are going to be racing two different classes of cars. The GT4 Porsche 718, as well as the big boy, the Porsche 911 RSR GTE car. So very, very differing speeds and levels of downforce in these cars makes it a wildly different experience for both classes of drivers. We are currently in the midst of a 45-minute opening qualifying session. So lots of time for these drivers to go out there and try to get the best lap that they possibly can down. Then we will go into a 30-minute sprint race. That's right, 30 minutes. It's super quick around this long track. We're only looking at barely double-digit laps, to be honest. But we are also going to be dealing with open setups. That's one of the things that the Porsche Owners Club really does like to bring in, help these guys start to develop their setups, understand their cars a little bit better so they can tweak and play with it. And with something like Spa, where you always hear when when WEC or Formula One comes to town, you talk about the compromised setup. Are you going to compromise coming through that tricky Sector 2 and the high downforce needs? Or are you going to compromise your speed down the long Kemmel Straight? We'll have to see if that plays into anything today.
Thus far, the qualifying, though, has been tricky for a lot of drivers. Those off tracks, there's incident limits in this series. Then it's not just in the race that you need to worry about them because, well, they'll discount your qualifying lap. We're watching Travis Brown. He's only had 2 laps counted so far in this qualifying session. Momeyer, only 4. And again, 45 minutes. They've almost completed all of those minutes already with just 7 left on the board. We're on board with Travis coming through the bus stop chicane, and the timing line in this Grand Prix layout version comes up quick right there. That time through for Travis, a 2:12.8, only his 3rd time lap, but it's not going to be his quickest.
Yeah, Joe, and one of the things that we always talk about when it comes to Spa is we watch Doug Boccioni try to come to the line. He is not going to be able to improve on his 9th place best time. Is those off-track limits. Spa is notorious on the iRacing service for very, very punishing off-track limits. They're very, very close. You can't run too wide here or you will get hit, and I think those incident limits, I hate to say it, I think they're going to be a story throughout the race.
Hockendick has got a lot of clean laps in himself, and it's gotten him 2nd place. That's not going to be one of them, though, unfortunately, so he'll cycle back around. BJ Fulton also just getting started on a flying lap himself. Next one to come to the line has to wait a little bit. We're on board with Mike Rondeau through the famous Blanchimont and then braking hard into the bus stop chicane. So let's see what Mark can do here with that 171. Very brightly colored machine. A little bit off the apex. Still could get himself a decent time here from 12th. Nope, he must have had an off track somewhere that we missed.
Yeah, we come back to Brian Salehi here, currently sat 3rd. He looks like he is on an out lap or had an error there, so that's not going to be a great lap for Brian. But 3rd place is going to be a good place to start. This is a track where you can get some very, very good passing done. Ron Palmer, though, 7th in that GT4 category.
Indeed. The number 29 is at least in the latter half, but not too far down. This lap through looks like he also is not going to have that one count. Momeyer does not have his best lap, but is very close, within 0.03 of a second. He's still got time to try and snatch that up higher. As we take once again a look at Travis Brown out of the Blanchimont, sweeping left-hander, kept it on the track that time through. Let's see what this one holds for that beautifully red, white, and green Castrol liveried car. To the line, 2:12.8 last time, and no lap this time, sadly, for Travis.
I think Travis may have gotten held up ever so slightly there coming through Blanchimont by Tyler King, who's currently 3rd in those GT4s. We see Doug Boccioni putting down a good time there, and that's going to stick for Doug, so that'll put him in 9th. Adam Fulton looks like that time will not stick for him, so he's going to have to stay with his 2:35 and stay in 5th place. Here comes Matthew Robinson to the line. The California driver looks like he is able to not improve. That's not going to count.
Wow, 2/1000 shy of his quickest. Corey Lott in the number 22 bumped himself up to 10th with that last one. So he found his quickest time at a 2:13.5. Mehmet, in the meantime, looks like he's just getting started on a flyer himself. We're only missing one car in all this that still needs a lap time. That's Larry Haas, who is currently in pit lane, so it doesn't seem like he is interested in trying for a time because he's going to have to get out in pretty much the next minute, and he hasn't been on track for many minutes at this point.
Rondeau coming to the line. He got a good line out of the bus stop there as opposed to what we saw on the last lap, but that lap not going to be fast enough overall. So easy to lose time around this long circuit, and it can really cascade on you if you're not careful, Joe. One error at the top of the hill can absolutely start to pile up and just count second after second after second.
All the way back to Michael Robon. Here, I guess he would be Michel here in Belgium, most likely. But the 929 just finishing up the last few corners of this lap. He sits in 14th, so he'll probably want a slightly better starting position. A little bit of wheel spin coming off the final chicane. This one for him, another one that falls victim to the off-track limits here. Hagendick, in the meantime, the 483 currently on the front row, and he only stays in second place.
Looks like a little incident there behind him as well for some of the GT4 competitors, so that's going to ruin more than a few laps. Ron Palmer there, you see his lap not counting. Ron currently sits in 7th. Here comes Travis Brown across the line. He is unable to improve, but he's still going to be sitting pretty with that 2:12.495, currently the fastest time out here today.
Bacignoni went his quickest last time, but not this time. Looks like 2 seconds off, maybe letting those tires cool off a little bit. What about Bolton? No, nothing for him, unfortunately. So we once again glance at Latvala. He doesn't like it. He's going to abandon it, and that's actually going to be the end of his qualifying. He doesn't have enough time to get a flyer started. Tyler King is not going to record a lap that time by.
He's not going to get it at him. Fulton looks like that lap for him not going to count, so falling victim of off-track there as well for him. But BJ Fulton got to come to the line. He's just got a slow lap, so that's not going to be BJ's best. He's currently going to stay in 7th place. Jacob Abrams going to come to the line. He's about a second off of his best time, the California driver is, so he's going to be hoping to get one more flyer down here as we start to tick down under 2 minutes to go.
Jacobs found it a little bit harder here in the faster class, even though he was quite quick in those GT4s last season. Mehmet looks like a 240.5. That is his fastest, but he'll stay in 9th place.
Eric Oviat's going to be the next across the line. He does not set a fastest time there. I think that may be an outlap for Eric as he's going to start to pedal back around. A little bit of a lock out there. Jumping back, though, Matthew Robinson working his way through Blanchimont. This is currently your 4th place driver. Looks like he's letting a few by there, so I think he's spooling up, getting ready for a fast run here.
Indeed, and I think we're going to see a lot of drivers hitting the checkered flag here soon. Less than a minute to go. I see Robin and Ost are getting ready to start one. So is Robinson and Hagendick. So those are going to be the last ones through, and Matthew taking advantage of the fact that that lap's not going to be counted, so he swings it wide to get himself that extra bit of speed here at the start. Meanwhile, Travis Brown, is he got enough time? Yes, he'll make it to the line just to start a new one. Let's see if this one's clean as well. It is, but it's not quicker than his 2:12.4.
Well, he's going to have one more shot at this, and he's going to have a little bit of a tow down the run to Eau Rouge, so that may help him. Currently here, your 2nd place in the GT4 category, Jerry Freckleton, making his way through the bus stop. He's maybe going to be able to get one more lap in. Yes, it looks like he is, and he goes faster there, it looks like, with the 2:33.692, but that's not going to count.
Checkered flag comes out. First one to take it is Latvala with a 2:13.5 that stays put. It looks like Fulton going to abandon his lap, so that takes us to Tyler King instead in the 2:11. 3rd on the 2nd row here in the GT4 class. Oh, but he sends it in deep, way too deep. He knows it. He abandons the lap.
So frustrating. You just feel those tires lock up a little bit on you, and you know there's nothing you can do. Eric Oviat working his way down the hill here into Blanchimont as we watch him keeping the power on. Full flat here. He's going to line up to the left, start to brake right about as you see those red curbs on the left. Big lockup for Eric. Takes a big bite of that curb on both sides there. He's going to run to the line.
Still, he kept it clean. So, does this count? It does, but a 2:15 flat, it will remain his quickest. We don't have many left. I see Robinson out there, Hagendick, and Salehi, Newton, and I believe Brown will be our remaining car. So, as we watch Robinson fly towards the final braking zone of the lap into the bus stop chicane, can he do better than row 2 here today? He sits about a tenth and some change behind Salehi, who will have a chance to try and respond to him after this. A 2:12.8, that's an improvement, but it doesn't take him up a position. Hagendick behind him also doesn't improve, unfortunately. Salehi is next. He crosses the line at 2:12.8. That won't do it. Paul Newton and the 2:17, 2:14.2. He will stay put. Travis Brown keeps the pole, but he also doesn't have that last one marked on the board. So that is everybody. Latvala, we already saw, take the checkered flag for today. Our grid is set here for round 3. This is going to be a fascinating one, as it looks like it is a tricky course for our drivers to be both clean and quick. Travis Brown starts on the pole with Hagendick on second place next to him. Bayan Salehi, the inside of row 2, will be flanked by Matthew Robinson in the 4th spot. Michael W. Johnson will be P5, and Matt Hollander will start in 6th. BJ Fulton, P7 for him, is followed by Jacob Abrams in 8th, and on the inside of the next row, it's Doug Baccignoni in 9th, and Michael Ost rounding out row 5. Corey Latvala was good enough for 11th, and Mark Rondeau starts in 12th. Paul Newton, P13, will be followed by Robon in 14th, and then Chad Duncan in 15th. Last two to put times in, Michael Bolton in 16th and Eric Oviatt in 17th. Connor Bloom was not able to put a time in.
Lining up in the pole of that GT4 class will be John Mohmeyer, able to get a 2:33.666. Down behind him in row 10 on the grid will be Jerry Freckleton and Tyler King. Behind them, 4th in class will be Horace Knight and Adam Fulton, followed by Aaron Edwards and Ron Palmer. Lane McNeil will line up behind them, followed by Mehmet Karasi, and then Larry Haas will be lining up in the back of the GT4 field. Larry unable to set a time as well.
All right, as the cars now start to line up out there, looks like it should be a fun one, because not just the challenge on the track this weekend, many of the racers were at Willow Springs, a real-world track out in California. They could be a little bit tired from that, so who's been well rested and who's feeling energized for today?
You see everybody taking the grid. This is obviously going to be a short pace lap here. They do not run the whole track. The exit just outside of Blanchimont for these drivers. So it's going to be very, very quick to the line. They're going to want to get there quick, and it's going to be very tricky as the leaders start to get onto the throttle. Do not be surprised if some of the drivers in the farther back there, they're going to be coming through the bus stop, which can add into further complication for these guys.
Just waiting for Robinson to get himself onto the grid there in that 3rd spot. Everybody else is ready and waiting to go for round 3 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. This 3rd season is their longest and most ambitious yet. A lot is on the line, and you have to be dedicated to try to take the championship. No Teddy Framheim here today, so Travis Brown has basically an open door in front of him. Can he step through and capitalize, or will he be stopped by the likes of guys like Bayan Salehi or maybe Eric Hagendick? Now accelerated away, and the Porsche pace car going to lead them off to the starting line. Release them just before the chicane is over. Question is then, where will guys like Eric and Travis accelerate after that? Will they go immediately? Will they try and hold them up and catch them out? A few drivers trying to gain a little bit of temperature in the tires by accelerating and braking. They are allowed to do that here, and they'll probably want it with those quick corners coming up early in the lap. There goes the pace car. Brown is waiting. Ooh, and he's causing everybody to have to check up a little bit. Green flag is out. Oh, and it's a horrible start for a few drivers. Michael W. Johnson initially gets a good run, almost 4 wide behind them. To the outside, Hagendick is strong, but we got a car off already. I think that is Hollander, possibly. And they completely fan out through La Source. Meanwhile, let's go back to our GT4 start.
Well, it looked like John Momeyer had a very good start, but Jerry Freckleton able to get the advantage of him coming through La Source. They are going to be absolutely too wide going down here, but advantage is going to switch over to Jerry Freckleton. He's going to slide in front as they make their way down into Eau Rouge and take the crest of Radillon.
Up and over that infamous corner. We've got a battle for the lead in our GT3 class and the RSRs. Looks like Robinson trying to get up by Travis Brown through Lacombe, and it doesn't work out. A big slide for Salehi in these GTE cars as BJ Fulton gets a run because of that, but around his outside, Corey Lotfula trying to take advantage of the fact that he's boxed in. Doesn't work out for him. He slips back in line.
Oh, as we've got a spinner there in the back. I believe that is Rondeau.
Oof, unfortunate for him. So he's going to get back going just as our GT4 leaders start to go by. That's Freckleton leading ahead of Momeyer, and then Aaron Edwards. They're not going to want to fiddle around with this GTE car too long. Thankfully, the extra speed should allow him by quite quickly.
It should, and it's not just top line speed that's really going to affect him. There is much more downforce in that GTE car, and now you can see it there as he makes his way through those corners way faster as he slides his way through the slicing and dicing section of it. But we're going to jump back up to the leaders in the GTEs.
Ooh, it was a bad exit by Salehi coming off of Stavilo and Paul Frere. BJ Fulton and Corey Lotfula are tucked in behind him, way off for both Fulton and Lotfula. That'll still be at least counted, but unfortunately that's an incident point as ducking to the inside. BJ tries to see if he can get a go on Salehi. It doesn't stick, compromises his exit. There goes Lotfula into 5th place.
And Joe, looks like Hagendick is in the pits there. I think he suffered some damage, but we're going to stay on this battle as it is absolutely electric at the top of this GTE field.
I think this might actually be a penalty for Eric, because remember, he started before Travis Brown and led across the line. So I think the stewards have given him a black flag. We'll find out soon enough. But in the meantime, things have been terribly exciting here in the GTEs, and Robinson is not done yet with Travis Brown. It looks like the 27 might try and attack the 300. He's running out of straightaway. Oh, and there's just not enough to try and get that lead away.
Just running out of straight there was Matthew Robinson, but if he can just take a little closer behind Travis, he knows where the advantages are, and this is where you start thinking out as a driver. You start learning what your competitors are doing, how they're taking corners, and where you can start to press an advantage, and so that's exactly what Matthew Robinson is going to be doing here.
As he holds behind him down the hill, coming out of No Name and into Puhan. Your top 5 in that class: Brown, Robinson, Salehi, Lotfula, and Fulton. Your top 5 in the GT4s are Freckleton, Momeyer, King, and Adam Fulton. Honestly, one of our good battles that we've got in the GT4s right now is between King and Adam Fulton. This is for the 3rd position. Oh, and King takes it very late down into Rivage, but shuts the door eventually, and Adam can't really get through.
No, not able to get it there. That's a very aggressive place to make a maneuver like that. It's not a super heavy braking zone, so it's very tricky to get the car slowed down there to be able to get the move done, but you can definitely see he's just showing his nose there a little bit. Adam is just making sure that Tyler knows he's there and maybe seeing if he can pressure him into a mistake.
Looks like Bolton and Baccignone had a small coming together. Damage on both cars, but I think they're both able to continue on. Let's go to Hollander, who, remember, is trying to recover from getting shoved off at the very start of this race. Incredibly, He's up to 10th already. I didn't think that he'd make this quick of inroads. He's got Paul Newton directly in front of him, who we ride on board with, looking back at the 4.77.
And Joe, I thought for sure Matthew Hollander was going to be able to get the run down to the inside of the bus stop, but just had to slam on the brakes. But here he comes. Now, this is where it all comes down to timing. You do not want to catch the car when the run from the source to Eau Rouge. And that's exactly what Matt's been able to do here. Good aggressive use across the curves there. That's a cutback from Paul Newton, trying to get him off. It's going to force him off the gas a little bit, and looks like Hollander's not going to get it. Yep.
Yeah, I thought he went a little too far inside of Radion, and it just was not meant to be. That definitely ruined his best opportunity to try and overtake for the 9th spot. What about some of those GT4 cars which are getting ready to head up that same run? Oh, and did Abrams just lose a position here? This is the 728. Oh, coming out of Lacombe's into Malmedy. Car just starts to go on him. Nice catch, though. Didn't hit anything.
Yeah, very nice catch, especially considering he got it down onto the grass and there was absolutely no grip to be had there. So massive kudos to Abrams to be able to do that. Now he has slotted back into position between that battle we were watching earlier between Hollander and Newton. Abrams now trying to hunt down Paul Newton in that blue machine in front.
Indeed, so Hollander must have had to give up a lot of position, or a lot of time here with how far back he is from Paul Newton. Oh, and did Robinson gain yet again? It's down to 0.4 of a second. He fell back for a short while, but Travis Brown is dealing with immense pressure here today.
He certainly is. You saw the more relaxed way Robinson took that car through the bus stop. A little bit of a wiggle when he got the throttle down, so he's going to lose about a 10th or 2 there. But Travis Brown responding very, very well, saying, hey, this is my lead. I don't want to give it away. But now it's all going to come down to Matthew Robinson. He's got to make sure he gets the power down here right and tuck up behind in that draft. 0.8 of a second or thereabouts back. That's a little far out to try to get the pass, but we'll see what the power's like.
They both look pretty clean, and I'm with you. I don't think Matthew is quite close enough. The slipstream will bring him in. If anything, I almost feel like, Latvala is going to be under threat behind them. There you see in the background, BJ Fulton, the green and black 277 is down to the inside. Tries to outbrake him, but Corey is mighty on the binders today. He'll retain 4th place. If they keep fighting like that, watch out for Michael W. Johnson, still sitting in 6th.
That was a very, very good defensive move from Corey Latvala, not putting any pressure on BJ, but just making sure he had to take the less desirable line around the corner. And you saw how BJ's car got a little bit squirrely getting around through there.
Oh, Abrams had another incident into Lacombe, this one a little bit earlier than the prior one, and he lost way more positions this time. He was in a fight. This is with Newton there. And once again, the rear of that car seems awful loose, so whatever setup he's got in it, it just doesn't seem to agree with him early in this event.
Yeah, I have to agree there. Jacob clearly going for the over-under on Paul, and the rear end just not complying at all. Now, that could be a setup issue. It could just be an issue where Jacob's putting the throttle down a little bit too heavily and overloading the tires, maybe a little bit of trail braking issue as well. So he's now got a whole lot to try to catch up here as he's back in 13th.
Back to that fight we were just watching shortly ago. BJ Fulton just ahead of Michael W. Johnson. That Octavio Tequila car is making sure that Fulton's got to keep an eye on his mirrors. And indeed, he goes defensive down into the bus stop chicane. But he won't have to fight side by side, but spinning the wheels off of that final few corners will certainly not help his cause.
No, it will not. So easy to do that there coming out of the bus stop. It's one of those corners that you've been going so hard and so fast for so long, you forget how it is, and you always want to get on the loud pedal a lot faster than you should. But here comes Johnson. He has got a great head of steam here. They're going to crest over one of the greatest corners in the world, and here comes the draft into full play for Michael W. Johnson. Can he get this move to work on BJ Fulton?
Both the draft and much better better momentum. He just took that corner like a rocket ship. As they come down to the braking zone, BJ's going to defend once again. But here we go. Michael Johnson almost gets the overlap and out. He stays in sixth, but this is the closest we've seen him in a while.
Well, Joe, it's not all about making the moves at once. Johnson just slowly pulling BJ Fulton in. This is exactly what he needs to do. He's seen BJ make a couple of mistakes before. Just keep the pressure up through this second sector as they go through the no-name corner down to Prue This is the area he's got to be careful. But the catch for Johnson is that car in front of him, BJ's car, will throw some dirty air his way. You see the time he's losing. He's got to adapt his driving line to make sure that he doesn't get in any trouble himself.
And while this has been happening, the lead in the GT4s also has closed in. Momeyer finally got passed by Michael Ost, who is in our GTE class, and I think he held up Freckleton in front of him. Oh, but look at that. Again, wheel spin just scuppering the chances for many of our drivers at better opportunities. Momeyer finds himself losing it out of La Source, and just how distant Freckleton is, you can see on your screen now, just from that one mistake.
Well, Joe, and track temperatures are hovering at about 74 degrees, and that's going to reduce grip on this track. So that's part of what I think these drivers are starting to cope with here today, and why you're seeing that constant bit of wheel spin from both classes.
23 in metric for those of our viewers over across the pond who might be watching here today. So unfortunately for us, that battle dissipates almost as soon as we turn our cameras over to it. Oh, Abrams was in more problems. The 728 had yet another incident. This time, though, he actually did hit another car, Eric Oviatt, and the gray machine that you see coming up. And this battle's not over because Oviatt has Jad Duncan to his inside. We'll check out the replay in a bit. And Oviatt, unfortunately, outbraking himself, gives up 2 more spots. This happened just about 30 seconds ago. If we want to see what happened to the accident-prone Jacob Abrams today.
So there you see him trying to get around Oviatt. That's Oviatt in the white machine right ahead of him. A very late move down into the bus stop for Abrams.
Ooh.
I got to put the blame on Jacob there for that. That was a door that was always going to close.
Yeah, I think he was ambitious. And he's actually not giving up. He's still fighting with Robin, and he almost touches Robin. 2 cars in 1 lap, and Eichel unfortunately goes off. He spins the tires himself through Lecombs, and the 929 smashes into the barrier. Let's take another look since our cameras were just off to the side when this happened. Look at how close he was there.
And that little bit of a touch there to Robin that just unsettled the car. That's a very tricky area of the track, even when you don't have somebody breathing up your inside like that. And just that little bit of a push to the back of Michael Robin's car, that was enough to get that car starting to step out, the rear end of the car starting to lose grip, and that is what sent him around.
Corey Lotvilla and BJ Fulton have been added a lot. Whoa! Off to the side of Blanchimont. Lotvilla would have to give that spot back if this was F1, but it is not. And BJ Fulton says, tell you what, I'll make it happen. Tries to go up the inside, doesn't make it stick. And behind it all, W. Johnson is watching this whole thing from the popcorn position.
He does. Now he's going to get a good run on BJ Fulton here. Starts to look to the inside, coming through the source, thinks a little bit better of it, but Fulton leaves the door open. Johnson gets good power down the straight. Now he's going to tuck back behind in line. This is the closest we've seen him. Lotvilla getting out of the way. That's Karasi up ahead in the slower GT4.
Just getting by before they hit Eau Rouge. That could have been disastrous. All of them coming up and over the hill, and I think BJ Fulton's going to get a slowdown penalty from that one. He was way off to the side. Did he remain safe? If he did, my goodness. And he doesn't seem to want to attack. There he goes. There he goes. He's given the time back now, and that's going to hand it over easily to Johnson.
Yeah, BJ did look like he got all 4 tires off to the side of All Rouge there. And for those unfamiliar with the iRacing service, those slowdown penalties trigger when you do that. There are certain triggers on the road that will get it, and you will get a pop-up on your screen that says you have to return the time you have gained. It'll be a couple of seconds or whatever it is in a certain amount of time. So BJ actually being very smart there to wait until the braking zone to start to lift off the throttle and give back that time.
Looks like Lotvilla and Johnson will continue that battle as Hollander just managed to get by Paul Newton and an unusual spot. This was coming out of no name. Let's take a look. You rarely see cars manage to overtake around here. What happened?
Looks like, yeah, Newton caught the inside of that, and that slowed him down just enough, giving you a little bit more of that wheel spin you've been talking about, Joe, as all 4 tires couldn't grip, and that's what allowed Hollander by.
Drivers have really got to be on their game today. We said it's a tricky circuit, and you can see why it thrills drivers and fans even to this day. Oh, and who was that off to the side there? That was Ron Palmer that we saw off the track. Meanwhile, we've jumped over to Freckleton. Well, Momeyer was a lot closer than this just moments ago. Did something happen to the 96? He must have had... Oh, yeah. Oh, he nearly binned it. If we get a replay here, the 96 had to chase after the car big time coming out of the final chicane. He was within a couple tenths of our GT4 leader. And here's the incident, DJ.
Oh, you can see just not anticipating how much slower there Momeyer was going to be. That completely upsets the car as he goes in. Woo, and that rear end just wanting to step away from John Momeyer. Very good job to keep everything cut and cuddled up under him.
So at least he's able to continue on. And behind him on track right now, Michael Johnson and Corey Lotvilla are side by side. They're going to come up to this battle. Is this for the lead, actually? This is. He's caught Freckleton immediately. Things are about to get tasty as 2 battles are coming together, one of which is for a class lead. Jerry Freckleton suddenly has the 96 all over his gearbox.
He does, and as these 2 drivers, that's Johnson and Lotvilla, come up behind him, and this is it. This is where you don't want to catch him. It looks like they're going to be able to get it just out of no name, diving down to the inside of Buhol. Everybody's going to be nice and single file, thankfully, but the battles continue in both places.
I've been seeing a lot of off tracks here, and we've still got a little less than half the race to go. I wonder if we're going to start to see some drive-through penalties, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, Joe. I would not be surprised at all, but we keep the track on your screen. John Momeyer continuing to hound Jerry Freckleton here. Starts to take a look to the inside. That's a hard place to overtake again. Very, very difficult to get anything done during this middle sector. He's going to tuck it back in line. I think if he's smart here, he tries to get the run down into the bus stop.
Oh, and this is not over, as they are almost touching one another coming through Blanchimont once again. Corey Lotvilla eating up one of his off-track incident points as he breaks deep and actually manages to get some overlap down into the chicane. Still not happening. Great defense there from Michael W. Johnson. He's up to 4th after qualifying P5 here today. Lotvilla has been even better. Qualified 11th. He's currently sitting P5.
Corey on an absolute flyer here in Spa, gets a little bit more speed off of the corner there of the source. They're going to be, looks like Michael's got a little bit of an edge here as they make their way up Eau Rouge right now. Always amazing to see a car on board. You see just how much compression they have to take. Both drivers, looks like they're able to avoid an off track, but Corey's definitely got a better run as they fly down the Kemmel Straight.
Who's going to defend and where? Johnson puts it right smack in the middle of the track. Lotvilla says there's still an opening and I'm going to take it. Both of them going as deep as possible and then parking it on the second apex. Michael Johnson once again denies his rival.
Great defensive driving there from Michael, not moving over, not giving a fade whatsoever, but just pinching Corey Lotvilla down just enough to compromise his braking line, and you saw the momentum that Michael W. Johnson was really able to carry there.
Coming out of Speaker's corner, Lotvilla still sizing him up. Wonder if they keep fighting like this, if this will allow BJ Fulton to return. Remember, it was a 3-car battle not long ago between these two and BJ. As they come down to Fan Yees, braking hard into that corner. Another one that rarely sees successful overtakes, but is possible. Oh my goodness, Corey nearly pushing him around the corner.
Yeah, Corey looks like he's got a lot more bravery on the brakes here today. Both drivers able to get it collected. Don't think that's going to be an off track there for Michael Johnson, as you are able to take it over on the curbs on those long ones. But we're going to jump here because Bayan Salehi has caught Matthew Robinson for second place.
Is there damage on Robinson's car or something? Because remember, he was keeping up with Brown, and suddenly he's lost multiple seconds and is under attack, and even Bayan is caught out by this as he has to try and keep from running into the back of the 27. But now that he's caught him, he'll have that valuable slipstream. Will that be enough to try and make the overtake?
Well, now it's all down to Bayan to just try to get the timing on this right. Joe, this sequence coming off of the source, a little bit of wheel spin for him there, that's going to hurt. It's almost akin to an oval drive where you've got to try to get the timing exactly right coming off the corner and time the draft right. You get it too early, you're going to overshoot coming down into the top of the Kemmel Straight.
Here he goes. He's got the toe. Robinson again puts it right in the middle of the track. Is it a long enough straight? Salehi keeps reeling him in. It is unfortunately not long enough for the 15. Behind them, Johnson also held off Latvala, but they are losing ground to Fulton. It's down to 1.9 seconds. It was as high as 3 seconds just about a lap and a half ago.
Yeah, BJ is very, very much catching in on them. And that 1.7, 1.9 section, that's got to start worrying them a little bit. Coming down the Kemmel Straight, we normally see the draft starting to take effect at about 1.8 seconds. So BJ's going to start to feel that as he gets closer and closer to them. And that means he's going to be able to carry more speed going down into those corners.
So watch him on board the 277. Got a front row view of the action in front of him, and that's exactly what he wants to see. Down to 1.5 seconds now. He does seem quite a fair bit quicker. Well, if there was damage on Matthew Robinson's car, he's apparently getting over it because he's extended the gap to Salehi by now 0.9 of a second and is no longer under threat.
Yeah, Joe, it looks like Matthew's just able to take it, and there does appear to be a little bit of crumpling there on the left side of the car on driver's left, so I think he did sustain some damage at some point in time, but not really seeming to be affecting him too much. They obviously bunch up there coming through the bus stop if the Constantina effect comes into play, but Robinson seems like he has this relatively under control.
Indeed. He's got to hold on to it, though, for another 7.5 minutes. It's not too many laps around here, but it's probably going to feel like an eternity for him. Oh, saw a little bit of a lockup from Michael Johnson through the source that time behind them. Wonder if this will give Latvala what he's been looking for.
As they start their way down the hill and fly up Eau Rouge and over Radillon. It's a little far back here, I think, for Latvala, but he's going to be, it looks like, within about a half a second, so that's going to be a good tow. He's going to have to brake very late if he wants to get this to work, but I think he's too far back.
Yeah, I don't think this one's going to be possible. And both of them get on the binders. Now, what did Fulton do along that run on the Kemmel Straight? Didn't really gain a whole lot of time that time. So maybe it's mostly the corners that the 277 is starting to run them down. I think we saw him gain a lot through Puhan. So let's keep with this battle and see if in that next couple corners that they're coming up to, he chomps away at it as we watch the red and black 22 of Latvala stay in the tire tracks of W. Johnson's number 18.
Dive their way through Puhan. This is such a tricky corner, even in a super high downforce car like an open wheel Formula One car. It's so incredibly hard. Looks like Fulton there wasn't really able to gain anything. That gap being stubbornly about 1.6, 1.7 seconds.
So things almost becoming a little bit stationary among some of these battles. Are they stalled out? Are the tires starting to go away among them? Or potentially are drivers running out of incident points and they're having to play a little bit nicer with those track limits?
Well, Joe, I think it may be a combination of all three, as a drive-through penalty at this point would absolutely destroy you. But here comes Lotful. That looked like it may have been a very good charge for him. Not quite close enough to do it. It seems like the story of Corey Lotful's race trying to get it there. Wow! He is so much better on the vine just through the second part of that bus stop.
Something I'm sure he's taken note of. Up above in front of them, there you see it. Almost nose to tail. That's Salehi and Robinson once again, much like those two were nose to tail. But he drops off. Didn't get the exit that it seems Salehi may have wanted. Still gets another chance here coming up and over Radion. What's it going to be for the 15? Ooh, this is an excellent run. Robinson could be in trouble. Where does he place the car? Does he pick the middle? He's just a car's width off of the racing line. Looks like that's Lance McNeil trying to get out of the way. It almost causes an accident. And that unfortunately puts Robinson off the line. Salehi tries to take advantage, but nothing doing.
Oh, shades of Schumacher and Hakkinen there coming through that corner. Absolutely incredible stuff from these two drivers. Just absolute faith in each other. But Robinson goes a little bit wide there through Ravage. Going to try to fight back his Bayan Salehi rather. Not able to get it done, but cracks starting to appear in Matthew Robinson's armor.
That lap car nearly caused a complete disaster. I think both of them would have been collected if they made contact. Down and around through Puhan. Salehi once again falling backwards as it increases to 0.5 of a second between the pair of them. I know we've been focusing on the battle for second and the battle for fourth a lot, but really, there's unfortunately no battles down to the GT4s right now. Freckelton and Momeyer have split apart, and there hasn't been much in the way of any of the other cars within reaching distance of each other.
No, there really hasn't. These two battles have been the ones that are closest. Just looking very briefly at our timing and scoring charts, it looks like everybody else is separated out to about over 1.8 seconds between the two. So that is that draft window we talk about in these two battles between Robinson and Salehi and Lotwell and Johnson. Really what's making this race exciting.
Indeed. As we come across the line, this is 2 to go. As Travis Brown still up the road by about 7 seconds. You can see it's not a huge gap between themselves and the leader. Just enough, though, that he certainly doesn't seem to be under threat. They're going to go by the lapped car of Ron Palmer, who just finished with lots of repairs and returns to the circuit. All right, Salehi got a taste of it last time. Can he manage to improve on that run? Can Robinson improve? Doesn't look like it. Oh my goodness, it's awful through the corner. Robinson already side by side as Salehi goes to the left. He's up and past his nose as they come up to the braking zone here into Lacombe. Can he shut the door on him? He doesn't quite. He gives him space at the apex. The car starts to slip up. They bang doors, and that sends Robinson off the track. That's going to complete the pass for Bayan Salehi.
And I have to say on that, I think that was Matthew Robinson just losing a little bit of the car and letting it run wide into Bayan Salehi. Absolutely brilliant there from Bayan to be able to hold it onto it. We jump back here to replay. You can see it. He dives back down the inside, carries a little bit too much speed out of the second part of Lake Combe. I'd call that a racing incident.
I would too. However, look behind Michael Johnson. Or look ahead of Michael Johnson, rather, I should say. Matthew Robinson, I wonder if that did more damage to him. Look at how much time he's lost now, and our pair fighting for fourth suddenly find themselves close to a podium.
Joe, I'm taking a look at Matthew Robinson's car, and that little bit of damage we saw on the driver's left, it looks like there is a little bit more there, as well as a slight bit on driver's right as well. The wheel arch seems to be flared a little bit more, so I think he's definitely, if nothing else, has a little bit of aerodynamic problems happening in that car.
Which is not what he wants right here as they pick up speed coming through Blanchimont. Let's see, is Johnson going to close down on him? Yes, he is. Oh, both of them just dipping off the course. Tries to defend to the inside, comes back to the racing line, but Johnson is through. He is through easily in the braking. In fact, it looks like Lockvilla has a shot at taking this. Matthew Robinson is absolutely limping here. He retains at least a glimmer of hope that he can keep this 4th spot over Lockvilla. He's got the inside. He breaks way too deep, though. Oh, he sends it into La Source and has to catch it before it goes into the tires. In fact, the car seems to be too damaged as he takes a tow and ends his day prematurely.
Oh, absolute heartbreak there for Matthew Robinson. He had run such a good race and just falling foul of a racing incident between he and Bayan Salehi, both of which would have driven very well.
Ooh, and why is Momeyer out of 2nd place? King, oh no, this is traffic? Larry Haas. Yeah, he was trying to lap Larry, and unfortunately the 266 just got tangled up with him. That allows Tyler King to easily go by into P2.
Looks like Larry was just trying to give him as much space as possible, and I think John was just a little fixated on him up the road, ran that car wide, and just ran into the side of him. So that's a real tough break there for John Momeyer. Tyler King able to get by him.
We're back live now, and Travis Brown just getting ready to overtake Momeyer. Put him another lap down as he's ready for the checkered flag. The white flag has been waved for the number 300. And he certainly had a little bit of a threat from behind early, but once he was able to shake the likes of Robinson, there was no turning back from there. He heads out and tours Blanchimont. He's not going to be able to lap Freckleton one last time, I don't think. He's a little too far up the road unless Jerry wants to slow up and keep from doing a whole extra lap himself. There he goes by the likes of Tyler King, 2nd place driver within that GT4 class. And indeed, Travis Brown comes out of the bus stop and becomes our first new winner here in the GTE class in the Porsche Owners Club.
Absolutely mega performance there from him as we watch. That's John Momeyer coming to the line, as well as your 2nd place finisher in GTE, Bayan Salehi. Michael Johnson will finish behind him, Corey Lotvilla and BJ Fulton rounding out your top 5 in that top category.
Lotvilla and Fulton split by only half a second at the line. That one certainly became close. The rest of them trickling across, but the one that we're waiting for and will have to wait for because he was the last car to be lapped was Jerry Freckleton. Our number 57 had Momeyer hot on his heels, but he stayed cool under pressure. Now he essentially gets to take a victory lap.
He does indeed.
Now, do we have a battle for 15th here? I think we do. This is in the GTE class. Ost still trying to trace down Robon. Michael is, well, they're both Michael. Ost has lost a lot of spots, having started 10th. Robon started 14th. He's down 2 spots. I don't think he'll want to give away any more of them as we ride on board with Ost.
No, but Robon's got to be a little bit careful. You saw that lockup as they made it in there, swinging the car wide to come through. Oh, Robon takes a whole bunch of curve on the inside of Blanchimont. That's going to slow him down ever so slightly. It's now or never time. Here comes Ost going for the cutback. Both cars lock up. It looks like gets into the back of Robon, and Robon is going to be able to carry it to the line.
What a fight to the finish for the pair of them. You can tell they were given 110% today. Unfortunately, the corner can only take 100%, and then you're out. Meanwhile, Jerry Freckleton on screen yet again. If I'm seeing right, no, okay, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that Tyler King did get lapped, but I think he's just heading on around for the sake of it behind this man who is our leader. And he gets to come through Blanchimont now under the cloud cover. Then he'll pop out into the sun, into the brightness, which will feel like glory here today as Jerry Freckleton breaks for the bus stop. The 57 car will be your victor in the GT4 class here today in Belgium.
An absolutely fantastic run from Jerry here, not only being able to do it when he was out alone, but he had some very early pressure from John Momeyer, able to withstand it quite well, and a well-deserved win for the number 57.
Indeed, I have to agree. That'll take us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Classic tracks in each of the rounds so far in the Porsche Owners Club, but Spa-Francorchamps, perhaps maybe one of the most classic here, as Travis Brown is going to win today with an 8.5 second gap over Bayan Salehi. I don't think he expected to finish in second, especially up until late in the race. He had a nice little fight with Michael Johnson, who as well jumped up here to third from fifth and got himself a podium. Corey Latvala, how about this one? 11th to 4th for him. BJ Fulton with P5 in the end, and Connor Bloom will finish in 6th after not even taking a qualifying today. Matt Hollander, he got punted at the very start and actually worked his way back almost up to where he started, and he wound up 7th. Paul Newton was P8. Hagendick, unfortunately, going backwards. He wound up 9th after beginning on the front row. Mark Rondeau was 10th. Then we get to the next group, and very accident-prone today. The 728 of Jacob Abrams winds up 11th with Doug Baccignoni in 12th. Jad Duncan was P13, and Michael Bolton was 14th. Then you've got Michael Roban, who we watched with a great battle to the end. He finished 15th ahead of Michael Ost in 16th, and Matthew Robinson was a lap down, finishing in 17th.
In first place in that GT4 category was Jerry Freckleton, followed by Tyler King. John Momeyer was in second for most of the race, but a late race mistake dumped him down to P3 in that class. P4 was Aaron Edwards, followed by Mehmet Karasay in P5 for the GT4s. Horace Knight behind him, Adam Fulton, Lane McNeil, Larry Haas, and Ron Palmer rounding out your GT4s.
That brings us to our winner, Travis Brown, after he takes victory here today at Spa-Francorchamps. I'm kind of curious, though, that after the lack of Framheim here today, Travis, is it a hollow victory, or are you just taking anyone you can get?
No, definitely appreciate the victory. These guys are stiff competition, so anytime a win means a lot for sure.
So it doesn't matter if Teddy is here or not. Obviously, a very happy Travis Brown. You did have a little bit of a threat early on. It looked like Matthew Robinson at first was keeping pace and he fell off. Did you expect you'd be able to drop him like that?
No, actually, I didn't. I know he was right on me the whole time. And then I figured with the traffic, that was kind of going to be the differentiator. It definitely closed the gap. I built up like a second and a half, and then we hit some traffic, and we were side by side after Eau Rouge. So yeah, no, we were tight neck and neck, but then the traffic worked in my favor like a lap or two later and helped me get that little gap back. So, no, he was right there the whole time. I was feeling the pressure.
Well, circling back around, we talked about Teddy Framheim in the first question. If he does come back next week at Zolder, can you manage to pull one over and take back-to-back wins?
I doubt it. Teddy's kind of an alien, so I'll take it while I can get it. But I was fully expecting to take a whooping today from him, so I'll keep trying to get up to that level. But these guys were stiff competition for sure.
All right. Well, best of luck to you regardless. And again, congratulations on a win. That was Travis Brown, winner here in the GTE class. Up next in the GT4s, Jerry Freckleton is talking to DJ Clark.
Well, how's it going?
I was just going to say, Jerry, you had a lot of pressure from John Momeyer earlier in the race, held it off well, and then just kind of cruised it in there at the end.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, it looked like we started to pull away just a little bit. And we got a pretty good sized gap, and then all of a sudden he was on my tail, like, oh my goodness! It's like, where the heck did he get all that speed? And then I just kind of remembered what my coach, Michael Johnson, always just told me: just drive your line, man, drive your race in. Knock on wood, it worked out pretty good, huh?
I'd certainly say so. So. Not to throw stones, obviously, but no mistake from you on that end. John just had speed out of nowhere, it sounds like.
Yeah, but he was fast, so like in practice and qualifying, I guess it's just the way the weather was, his setup it just was flat fast. And luckily I got in front of him and we were able to stay there. And then we had some pretty little hair-raising things throughout the race, but you know what? It was a gas, and I feel a whole lot better than last time we talked.
I can imagine, my friend. Well, I have to ask you, you mentioned setup. It seemed like there were a bunch of compromise setups out there today, not really able to tell one way or the other. How was your car feeling? Were you geared more towards the straights, or are you dealing a little bit more for the twisty stuff?
No, actually with ours, we can't really play with the gearing like that. We can't change the tranny or anything of that sort other than shifting the gears. But I think it was more on like maybe the toe in and toe out on the car, on the front end and the back, and then suspension, like how soft you make the dampening and the compression. And from what I know is, like hot weather setup is completely different from a cold weather setup, and you need to make the car softer in the cold weather. And I didn't make those corrections. I just felt, you know what, I'm not guessing. I'm just leaving it and just drive it.
Well, it clearly worked out for you, Jerry. Congratulations again on the win.
Well, I really appreciate it, and I'd like to thank Airwolf 3D for helping me out with the sim car, my girlfriend Denise Lanigan, Matt Hollander, and you know what? And all the guys, all the club members of the POC. Everybody are just really good people, and anybody who's thinking about getting involved in this sim stuff, you need to join this club because there's a lot of great people, and they help you out really good. And, of course, you guys, GSRC. We really love you guys putting it on because my family and friends, they all enjoy the race.
Well, we love putting it on, and there you heard it, folks. A ringing endorsement of the Porsche Owners Club from Jerry Freckleton. And now Joe Peak has caught up with Bayan Salehi.
Yeah, and Bayan almost saw things fall apart at the very beginning. Talk about the start of that race, Bayan, because you almost got swamped for a moment.
Oh yeah, that was a little scary moment right there. The guy in front of me, I think just had a slow reaction to the start, and so I had to back off a little bit. But luckily, I knew my limit and I was able to hold my position, and it worked out from there.
Now, we heard from Travis that he thought that Matthew Robinson would have something a little more for him. Eventually, he kind of fell into your lap, and you two had a good battle. I'll ask kind of a similar question. Did you expect to be able to run him down? Did you think your car would come good?
Yeah, so in Nürburgring and this track, me and Robinson have been pretty close, and we've had some really good racing. Yeah, Travis too. I mean, he came in this weekend and really delivered. I mean, he's super quick. But yeah, for some reason this session I just couldn't get my race pace up, and even the guys behind me were inching ahead. And but I mean, what mattered was I crossed the finish line, and yeah, it worked out.
Well, I don't know many drivers that are big fans of chicanes, and we only have one here at this track. Unfortunately, next one is going to have 3 of them to deal with. Are you looking forward to Zolder?
Absolutely. I have little to no experience on Zolders, and I've only heard good things, so I'm really stoked for it.
All right. Well, we look forward to see how you take it on being new there. And again, congratulations on the podium today.
As always.
That was Brian Salehi, who finished second here today. And then up next, it looks like DJ is caught up with our third place driver in the GT4s, John Momeyer.
Well, John, we heard from Jerry there that you were breathing down his neck and you had him all kinds of scared halfway through the race. And then obviously a couple of incidents there putting you back, but still a well-earned second place.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was really tough following Jerry around there. I wanted to pass him a couple different times, but didn't want to wreck us either. Both of us either, so.
Well, I know in the booth we always preferred that approach to it, so thank you for that. How was it, coming up that fast on him like that? We in the booth thought that Jerry had made a mistake, and he just said that you put in a couple of just stomping laps.
Yeah, I didn't get to practice the last 4 days. We were at Willow Springs running, and I don't know, but being in a real race car this last week came in and helped me inspire me this tonight, and puts on some of the fastest laps I'd ever turned without any practice the last few days. So, yeah, I was finding some speed in some places and trying to get right up on his butt.
Well, I mean, you put on a heck of a show there for the good long of it, and we were kind of pulling for a good battle there, but we had from the very wide open areas of Spa to the very narrow twists of Zolder. How do you think that's going to fare you?
I don't think I've actually ever been on the track yet, so it's going to be interesting.
Well, I wish you luck, man. That's a tricky one for sure.
Okay, thank you. I'll take it.
There you go. That is your second place finisher in GT4, third place finisher rather, John Momeyer. And now Joe Peak has caught up with Michael W. Johnson.
Indeed, a driver that had quite a few battles to get himself up into the podium here today. Michael, you and Corey and BJ look like you had a real fun scrap.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. It was some of the most fun I've had racing past couple of weeks, honestly. I've been bouncing around. I raced with a couple of other groups as well. And I've been focused oddly on that track because we have 3 separate races per week. And here, all these guys have been practicing, and I've been doing one-on-one coaching and all kinds of stuff there and haven't had much chance to practice here. But fortunately, I used to teach here in real life. So I know this track really well.
I'm very jealous, but in that case, did you know kind of how much you could get from the slipstream around here? Because it looked like that was a big help a number of times in those fights.
Well, the one practice I did get last night, I spent a lot of time really tuning in the gearing because in this car, fortunately, we have really fine tuning of each and every gear, the final drive, just everything. I mean, there's nothing that's not tunable on this car. I swear you could probably tune the headlights if you really wanted to. And I just worked on being the lead car and getting up to around 163, 164 by the end of the straight because I knew most everyone else was getting stuck around 161. And if they were getting in somebody's draft, they might catch it. So I just tuned for that long straight and tried to make the most of it every time I got up there.
That's quite a brilliant move, I have to confess. Definitely going to have to come to you next time I need to get my gearing down. Well, it's been a good couple of races for you, it does seem. What's your overall goal for the season? Do you have a position that you're looking to try and finish in?
Well, first, that's
That's a good one. Yeah.
I'm a race car driver. Where do you think I want to finish? I mean, first place is always the goal. With this group, honestly, this is tough. I mean, you've got guys like Matthew, both of them very fast. Bayan he's a quick driver. Teddy's very fast. Connor also, we race against each other from time to time in real life. So yeah, I mean, there's some really good guys, including Corey and BJ, as you saw. That was I didn't see the broadcast yet. I can't wait to go back and watch it, because I'm going to guess about 90% of it was just us going back and forth.
Oh yeah, you got plenty of screen time, trust me.
Well, Octavio Tequila will be very happy about that, I hope.
I'm pretty certain they will. On that note, again, congratulations on a podium, and we'll talk to you later, sir.
Great, thank you much, guys.
That was Michael W. Johnson, our third place finisher in the GTEs. Real quick, we've got one more to talk to, and DJ is going to discuss second with Tyler King.
Well, Tyler, it looked like a pretty quiet race there out for you. Just kind of right place at the right time. John Momeyer obviously making a mistake, and you were able to just be there and take up that second. Tyler, you got a copy for us, man?
Looks like we might be having issues with Tyler's microphone here. We'll see if he can get this settled. Oh, no, looks like we lost him. So we are going to close it up then, unfortunately, as it's certainly getting late for a few of us. A big thank you again to our sponsors. Of course, the obvious one, Porsche, because there is no substitute. Find out more about them at Porsche.com. And then there is Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Thanks goes out to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast, listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Her Bandcamp is there at the bottom. Thanks to the team today, Sean, DJ, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. There's also our social media outlets, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. Don't worry, we've got a link in the description below, so you don't have to type it out. You can just click that. While you're down there, make sure and click subscribe too on our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. And as we mentioned, the next race will stay in Belgium. That'll be at Zolder, Monday, February 22nd at 11 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.